This movie kicks off by introducing Pamela Landy, who works for the CIA. She's in a meeting with her bosses and coworkers, talking about a guy named Jason Bourne, a former CIA agent with memory problems. The CIA officials, Ezra Kramer, tells his people to keep hunting Jason, even though he's not guilty, because they think he might be a threat to national security. Now, over in Turin, Italy, there's this guy named Simon Ross. He's a reporter for a British news agency called The Guardian. Simon meets a middle-aged guy named Daniels at a cafe to get some info about a case connected to Jason and this CIA thing called Blackbriar. After getting what he needed, Simon heads back to England and tells his bosses about the Jason and Blackbriar scoop. But as soon as Simon says Blackbriar, the CIA squad led by Noah Vosen starts tracking him down. Noah tells his crew to spy on Simon and find out who leaked the CIA stuff to the reporter. A little while later, Jason, who's in England and traveling by train, reads a news story about himself written by Simon. So, he calls up the reporter and asks to meet at the train station. At the same time, Noah's team, who have been tapping Simon's phone, figures out that Simon's planning to meet Jason. So, Noah tells his team to take care of Simon. When Jason was at the meeting spot, he noticed that Simon was being followed by a bunch of secret agents. He got a hunch that the agents might have tapped Simon's phone, so he bought a new cell phone for Simon and discreetly slipped it into his pocket. This was to help Simon escape from those agents who were tailing him. Jason then called Simon on the new cell phone, which couldn't be tracked by Noah's team, and told him to follow the instructions for safety. At that moment, Jason advised Simon to blend into the crowd at the bus stop. This move made Noah's team suspicious of a guy in a blue hoodie who was using his cell phone. They thought he might be the one giving info to Simon. Jason's plan worked because he managed to outsmart the CIA team, making them think the guy in the blue hoodie, who had just boarded the bus, was the informant. Next, Jason met up with Simon and asked him about the source of the news he had written in the newspaper. Sadly, Simon insisted not to tell him and only mentioned that the Blackbriar operation was a secret continuation of the CIA's Treadstone mission. When Jason tried to press Simon for more, several CIA agents approached them, so they decided to split up. One of the agents began tailing Simon, and Jason had to step in to prevent Simon from getting attacked by the CIA agent. Meanwhile, a surveillance camera in the room, tapped by Noah's team, captured Jason's presence. This made Noah extremely surprised and suspicious, leading him to believe that Jason might be the source of Simon's information. Noah decided it was time to eliminate Jason. After getting the command, the team with guns got ready on the rooftop of a building, targeting the reporter and Jason. Meanwhile, Simon was still in a building and started to get anxious because he sensed someone getting close. So, despite Jason's advice not to, he decided to leave the building. As soon as Simon stepped outside, a CIA sniper fired a shot that tragically killed a reporter with a headshot. Jason immediately emerged from his hiding spot, pushed through the crowd around Simon, and grabbed some of the reporter's notes before rushing after the sniper. Sadly, Jason couldn't locate the sniper, who had slipped onto a train. In Madrid, Spain, Daniels became worried when he saw the news on TV about Simon being mysteriously shot dead. He hurriedly packed his belongings, including important CIA documents, before deciding to leave his current location. Back at the CIA office, with Pamela's assistance, Noah managed to uncover that Daniels was indeed Simon's true source. Without delay, Noah instructed his team to arrest Daniels, who served as the CIA representative in Madrid. As for Jason, who had learned about Daniels from Simon's notes, he seemed to have visited Daniels' residence in search of information about his own past. Unfortunately, Jason found Daniels' house empty, but he did stumble upon a photo of two men who were recognized as CIA members. In that moment, Jason experienced a flash of his past as an agent involved in a Treadstone operation, connected to one of the middle-aged men in the photo. Recently, Noah's team arrived at Daniels' place only to find it empty. While they were inside, they noticed a shadow in one of the rooms, suspecting someone was behind it. Without much thought, they shot at the door and discovered that the shadow came from a small flashlight attached to a running fan. As they entered the room, they were taken by surprise when Jason attacked them. Noah, who was overseeing the operation, was left puzzled by what had just transpired. Meanwhile, Jason, who had incapacitated Noah's team, moved to the next room where he reunited with Nikki. They had met previously in Germany, when Jason was being pursued by the CIA. Jason asked Nikki for assistance in locating Daniels. She, having been a part of the CIA in Madrid with Daniels after the Treadstone operation was disbanded, informed him that Daniels had gone to Morocco. Without wasting time, Jason invited her to join him in pursuing Daniels. Simultaneously, Noah's team obtained information about Daniels' flight to Morocco from his passport usage data. Noah also dispatched an assassin named Desh Buksani to track down Daniels. Upon their arrival in Morocco, Nikki attempted to infiltrate the CIA system to gather information about Desh, who had been tasked with hunting down Daniels in the country. To locate Daniels, she devised a plan and asked Desh to meet her, pretending to be an agent sent by Noah. Before long, Desh went about his mission, with Jason discreetly following him. Back at the CIA office, Nikki's attempts to hack into their system were discovered, and because Noah knew she was assisting Jason, he ordered Desh to eliminate both her and Jason. Pamela disagreed with Noah's decision, especially since Nikki was an active CIA agent, but he remained determined to eliminate anyone aiding Jason in uncovering his past. Pamela ultimately decided to quit Noah's team due to her disappointment with her boss's choice. As for Desh, when he spotted Daniels leaving his hotel room, he decided to park his motorbike and walk. Suddenly, he dropped a bag he was carrying. Jason, who was surveilling Desh, grew suspicious that the bag might contain a bomb. He attempted to stop Daniels' car, which was nearing the bag, but Desh triggered another bomb on his motorbike, situated close to Daniels' car. The explosion resulted in Daniels' death, and Jason was also seen lying in the blast area, leading Desh to believe he had taken out both of his targets. Without hesitation, Desh quickly used Jason's parked motorbike to pursue Nikki, his final target. Surprisingly, Jason survived the explosion and, upon regaining consciousness, set off to chase Desh using the stolen motorbike. Simultaneously, Nikki learned that she was Desh's target, prompting her to leave the cafe and seek refuge in a secure location. Shifting to Jason, he used his skills to pursue Desh, leaping from one building to another until he finally confronted the hitman. They engaged in a battle, but Desh's abilities proved insufficient to defeat his adversary. In fact, he was easily overpowered by Jason. Having successfully taken down Desh, Jason wasted no time in seizing the assassin's cell phone. He then enlisted Nikki's help to send a fabricated message to Noah, making it appear as if both of them had perished. Noah received the message and readily accepted it, thinking it came from Desh's phone. Following this, Jason urged Nikki to part ways with him, concerned for her safety if she continued assisting him. Nikki agreed, and before leaving town, she altered her appearance by cutting and dyeing her hair to avoid easy recognition. Shortly afterward, Jason accompanied her to the hospital where Daniel's body was being kept. By offering some money to the morgue guard, Jason began to sift through Daniel's remaining belongings. Among them, he discovered a file containing the address of the CIA office in New York where Noah and Pamela worked. The next day, Noah's team received a shock when they learned that Jason was still alive, as he was detected on a flight bound for America. Upon arriving near the CIA headquarters, Jason kept a close watch on Noah's movements from a nearby building. He observed the CIA leader stowing a file in a secure safe. At that moment, Jason reached out to Pamela, who was in her office, and asked for a private meeting. However, their conversation was intercepted by Noah's team, prompting Noah to covertly dispatch a surveillance team and assassins to the location where Pamela and Jason were meeting. Recently, Pamela arrived at the meeting spot, but oddly, Jason didn't show up. This was Jason's clever tactic to lure the entire CIA team away from the office, making it easier for him to sneak in and grab documents from Noah. Casually, Jason entered the building without any hindrance and headed straight for Noah's room, obtaining various important files, including those related to Blackbriar operations. Meanwhile, Noah began to sense that something was amiss. He contacted one of his subordinates to inspect the office, and the team there soon realized that Jason had infiltrated Noah's room. When Noah learned of this, he hurried back to his office. Pamela, too, left once her colleague informed her that Jason had managed to break into Noah's safe. As for Jason, he swiftly left the building and commandeered a parked car for his escape. Noah's hitman, Potts, immediately gave chase, intentionally crashing his car into Jason's in an attempt to stop the former CIA agent. Just before the car could overturn, Jason instinctively grabbed his seatbelt, ultimately saving his life. On the other hand, Paz, who also had an accident, appeared unconscious. Jason, who initially contemplated finishing him off, decided against it, honoring a promise he made to Marie, his girlfriend who was killed by an assassin. Instead, he left Paz, who remained unconscious, and proceeded to meet with Dr. Albert Hirsch, the man in Daniel's photo he had found. Upon reaching a hospital where Albert worked, Jason was taken aback to find Pamela waiting for him, claiming to be on his side. Without harboring any suspicions, Jason placed his trust in her and handed over the documents he had retrieved from Noah's safe, seeking her assistance to unveil the truth. Shortly after, Jason searched for Albert, while Noah's men, having spotted Pamela at the hospital, hastily pursued Jason, believing he was inside the building. Meanwhile, Pamela hurried back to the office, desperately searching for a fax machine to send all of Noah's incriminating documents that Jason had unearthed to the state court. Luckily, just as Noah caught up to her, she had managed to send off all the documents. She then urged her boss to quickly find a lawyer to defend in court. Now let's turn to Jason, who had arrived in a corridor. Suddenly, memories of his past flooded back to him, recalling his time as a CIA assassin agent in the Treadstone operation. Lost in thought about his flashback, he encountered Albert, who invited him into a room. Albert revealed that he had been the doctor treating Jason when he had joined the Treadstone operation. He explained that Jason had volunteered for the CIA mission under the alias David Webb. As Albert shared these details, Jason's memory gradually pieced together. Regrettably, their conversation was cut short when Noah's team arrived, prompting Jason to escape by leaping out of the room's window. Below, Paz awaited him, pointing his gun, but he hesitated to fire, knowing that Jason had spared his life after their earlier accident. On the other hand, Noah, also present, grew irritated by Paz's failure to eliminate Jason and ultimately chose to shoot the former Treadstone CIA operative, sending him plunging into the nearby lake. A few days later, after Pamela had sent all the files to the court, the crimes committed by Noah, Albert, and Ezra came to light. It turned out they had misused the Blackbriar operations to harm people for their own gain. As a result, they were arrested and faced trial by the authorities. Meanwhile, Jason was officially declared dead after the shooting and falling into the lake, but his body had not been recovered. Towards the end of the movie, there's a scene where Jason falls into the lake after being shot by Noah, and surprisingly, he seems to still be alive. The moral lesson we can take from this story is doing what's right and showing kindness can eventually lead to justice prevailing, as we saw with the exposure and downfall of the corrupt individuals in power.